The message arrived as I signed the last page of a merger file. Outside my windows, the December sky over Chicago glittered like ice. It was December 22nd. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. "Harper, honey, about Christmas this year with your brother Mason bringing his new fiancé. She's a TV anchor, you know. We thought it might be best if you sit this one out. You understand, right? Love, Mom." I stared at the screen, then smiled a small, tired smile. 15 years had passed and nothing had changed. Even after everything I built, I was still the outlier in my own family. What she didn't know was simple and enormous. The freelance analyst she barely acknowledged was no longer a consultant for hire. I was Harper Lynn, CEO of Limbridge Strategies, the firm quietly steering deals across 3 continents. Janelle, my assistant, buzzed in on the intercom. "The Mirage executive team is ready for the call." "Thank you," I said, smoothing my navy silk blazer. People back home like to imagine I still thrifted all my clothes. I let them believe it. It was easier that way. 15 years earlier, I had carried a single suitcase out of our Minnesota farmhouse when I said no to a job at the family firm, Lynn and Mason Holdings. "You're being selfish," my father had yelled. "You think you know better than us?" Mason, sitting back in his leather chair, smirked. "Let her try. She'll crawl back." I did not crawl back. I took a train to Chicago with a laptop and a stubborn idea. I built Limbridge with long nights and quiet deals. Now we held minority stakes in half the companies my family tried to impress. There was a gentle knock. "Miss Lynn," Janelle said, holding a thick folder. "The contract from Lynn and Mason Holdings. They want your signature by the morning." I took the file, and for a moment I felt the taste of irony. So they needed help after all. I picked up a pen. "Actually, Janelle, cancel it. Merry Christmas." The humor warmed me more than wine ever could. Lynn and Mason, my father's pride, had spent 6 months chasing a strategic alliance with Limbridge. They had no idea the company they were wooing belonged to the daughter they kept at arm's length. My email pinged. New message from Mason. "Harper. Mom told me about Christmas. Don't overthink it. You know how she gets with appearances. Melanie's career is very public. It's cleaner this way. Maybe once you're established, things can go back to normal." "Once I'm established," I repeated silently, eyeing the 7-figure deal on my desk. All it needed was one thing, my signature. Janelle returned with an iPad. "Your father is on Zoom. He wants to confirm the ceremony for tomorrow." I answered. "This is Harper speaking." I always used my mother's maiden name in business. It kept the noise away. He sounded stiff and cheerful, not like the man who once called my startup a waste of talent. "Just checking. Everything is on track, right? This deal is vital to our future." I thought about the Christmas dinners I never attended, the years of being the family's shadow. "Actually, Mr. Lynn," I said, "I've reviewed the terms. I have concerns." His voice cracked. "Concerns?" Everything was approved. "Things change," I said lightly. "We should discuss in person. Bring the whole family to the ceremony. Lynn and Mason is a family company, isn't it?" "Of course," he said. "My wife, Mason, maybe Melanie, all your children," I said. Silence. Then, "Understood. Good." I ended the call. After he hung up, I leaned back and watched the lake, a sheet of gray glass under the winter sun. Tomorrow my family would walk into Limbridge headquarters, expecting some hidden mogul to greet them. Instead, they would see me. Janelle hovered in the doorway. Should I prepare the executive conference room for tomorrow's event? "Yes," I said, running a finger along the crisp edge of the contracts. "And Janelle, line up the photographers. I want someone to capture each expression." That night, I stayed late, planning the details. This wasn't just a signing ceremony. It was a moment of clarity. My family worshipped image. They were about to watch earned power take its seat. By 6 a.m., I was at my desk. The 47th floor conference room gleamed. Fresh orchids stood like quiet witnesses. The tables shone. The floor-to-ceiling windows held a view of the frozen lake. Janelle came in, steady as always. "Your family just arrived. Should I bring them up?" I checked my reflection. No soft sweaters. No quiet flats. I wore a charcoal Armani suit, Louis Vuitton pumps, and my grandmother's Cartier watch. The last gift she gave the granddaughter everyone underestimated. "Let them wait," I said. "I'll make an entrance." 20 minutes later, I stepped into my private elevator. My phone buzzed with another text from my mother. "Harper, where are you? Your father says this meeting is critical. Don't embarrass us." I slipped the phone into my pocket and watched the numbers climb. Through the glass walls, I saw them before they saw me. My father pacing. My mother fixing Mason's tie. Melanie practicing her TV smile. The board whispering over the contracts. I nodded to Janelle. She moved to the doors and spoke clearly. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Harper, CEO of Limbridge Strategies. The room froze. Air turned electric. As I walked in, my heels struck the marble like notes. My mother's champagne flute slid from her fingers and shattered on the table. My father's face drained. Mason's confidence fell off him like a coat. Good morning, I said, taking the head seat. Shall we begin? This is absurd, my father said. You're a freelance consultant. I rested a sleek black folder on the table and flipped it open. According to these documents, I am the CEO of the firm you've been courting. The board leaned forward. An attorney reached for his glasses. What exactly is going on, he asked. I looked at Melanie with a small, polite smile. I would have been properly introduced at Christmas dinner. Funny thing, I wasn't invited. Something about appearances. My mother tried to gather herself. Harper, sweetheart, this is all a misunderstanding, has it? I asked, my voice cool. I tapped the control panel. The wall screen lit up. My mother's text filled the screen. We thought it best if you sit this one out. Then Mason's email, it's cleaner this way. Then a short video tile, my father pleading for this partnership, not knowing he was negotiating with his own daughter. The room went still. Janelle placed updated contracts in front of each guest. My father flipped pages with shaking hands. These aren't the same terms. They're different. I nodded. I made revisions. I've had time, years, to decide how I want this to go. You can't do this, he said, leaning forward. We have expansion plans. Investors are watching. Like I had plans, I said, when I launched Limbridge with no helping hand. Like I had plans when I was talked over at every holiday table. That was different, my mother said. We tried to protect you from failure. No, I said, standing. You tried to protect your status. I smoothed my cuff and let the decision land. The partnership is off. Limbridge will acquire Mirage directly. My father blinked. His breath stuttered. That move blocks your entry into the European market, I added, and you know it. He sank into his chair as if someone had pulled the bones from him. You can't do this, he whispered. We're family. I paused at the doorway and turned. Family? That's strange because yesterday I was told I wasn't successful enough to be family. I tilted my head. I wonder, am I enough for Christmas dinner now? I walked out. The silence behind me was heavier than shouting. The fallout hit like a wave. Voicemails poured in. Emails filled with new warmth from people who had never used my full name. Texts from numbers I hadn't saved in years. Harper, we're still your parents. Don't do this. You're ruining us. This isn't how family handles conflict. Please, let's talk. I did not respond. Limbridge closed the Mirage deal. Lynn and Mason's stock began to dip, a slow slide that made news anchors raise their brows. Headline snapped, merger collapse hits family-owned firm. International expansion stalls. Limbridge advances in AI supply chain. Board chairs shifted. Whispered threads connected. My phone stayed face down. I focused on work. A week later, Janelle appeared again. Your brother is here. Third time this week. He's alone. I pulled up the lobby camera. Mason stood at the desk without his usual shine. His tie was loose. He looked like someone who hadn't slept deeply in days. Send him up, I said. He entered my office slowly, eyes moving over the view, the art, the quiet confidence in the space. Nice office, he said, voice flat. Bigger than mine. Though I guess that doesn't mean much now. What do you want, Mason? I asked. He sat. For once, he didn't posture. Melanie called off the wedding. I lifted a brow. Did the perfect public couple crack under a few headlines? She doesn't want to be tied to a sinking ship, he said. She said I don't fit her brand. He laughed once and it broke. Dad's drinking again. The board is nervous. Mom can't show her face at the club. Everything's coming apart because of me? I asked. No, he said. Because we built everything on appearances. My marriage plan was the same, I nodded. You all treated success like it had one look, and I was never it. He swallowed. I deserved that. You deserved a lot more, I said, letting my voice harden. Do you know what it's like to watch your family celebrate every one of your wins and pretend I don't exist? Mom threw parties for your promotions. She forgot to ask what I did. We thought you were struggling, he said, quiet. You never asked, I said. Not once in 10 years did any of you ask about my company, my team, my vision. You were too busy dismissing me to notice I had passed you. He dropped his eyes. I was awful to you. Can you forgive me? Forgiveness isn't the problem, I said. Trust is. Trust has to be earned. He nodded, small and real. The door swung open before I could say anything else. My parents swept in, ignoring Janelle's warning. Harper, my father said, but the thunder was gone. This has gone far enough. You've made your point. My mother stepped close, breath fast. You're successful. We were wrong. We see you now. Please stop punishing us. I let out a laugh that had no warmth. You think this is revenge? You think I did all this to show off? I walked to the window and looked over the winter city. No, this is about consequences. It's about showing you that your choices have weight. We were protecting you, my father said, voice cracking. From what? From building alone? From failing? Everything you did protected your image, I said, turning back. Congratulations. That image is now broken. You have a firm wobbling on bad promises, a son dumped in public, and a family unraveling in private. Mason cleared his throat. What do you want from us? What I wanted, I said, was belief. Back when I was building Limbridge. Respect when I began to win. I wanted to be treated like family, not a mistake you edited out. I let it settle, but now, I don't want anything. My mother's eyes filled. I had seen those tears before. When I didn't choose the right college. When I didn't accept the family job. When I became the problem in their story. Just tell us, my father said. Board seats, equity, a public apology. Name it. You still don't get it, I said. I don't want what you have. Limbridge is worth 10 times what Lynn and Mason ever was. What I wanted was a family that valued me. Not for what I could do. For who I am. I pressed the intercom. Janelle, please escort them out. Update the security list. Harper, please, my mother whispered. It's almost Christmas. We can fix this. No, Mom, I said. You don't fix a decade of dismissal with a quick apology. The door closed. The room went quiet in a way that felt clean. My phone buzzed. Heard the news? Your grandmother would be proud. Christmas dinner at my place if you want. Margaret, I smiled. Warmth spread through me like someone had opened a door to light. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who believed when no one else did. The next morning, I stood in front of my executive team. It was time for our boldest move yet. We were restructuring the consulting map. We would acquire 3 mid-tier firms across the Midwest and build a focused, modern network. Lynn and Mason Holdings was not on the list. As I walked the room through the plan, I pictured my parents' dinner table. Glossy wood, curated wine, practiced toasts. A scene built to keep an illusion alive. I exhaled and let it go. I was building something real. A week later, Janelle placed a small package on my desk. Inside was my grandmother's worn leather card holder and a note from Margaret. She always said you'd outshine them all. Looks like she was right. I set it beside my nameplate. A quiet reminder. Success is shaped by the ones who stand near you when the path is steep. It is not defined by the people who applaud when the work is done. I thought about images and outcomes, about the way influence looks like silence until it speaks from the right seat. My family had wanted to keep their picture perfect. They got a picture anyway. It wasn't the one they wanted. It was the truth. People ask me sometimes if I miss them. Do you miss your family? I look out at the city that taught me to be steady and brave and keep my own counsel. I say I have a company to run, and I mean it. Because a seat at their table was never the prize. The life I built is the prize. The work, the team, the impact, the piece of earning your name. If you've ever been pushed aside or told you didn't fit a certain mold, hear me. I didn't build my life to prove them wrong. I built it because I believed in the quiet fire inside me. I chose craft over noise. I chose patience over approval. If any part of this story lands in your chest, leave a word. Tell me what you overcame. Or just write, I see you. Sometimes that's everything. You do not need their seat. Build your own table. And one day, the people who didn't save you a chair will be the ones waiting in your lobby, asking for a meeting. That's not revenge. That's clarity. That's the rhythm of real work. It's the rhythm I trust. It keeps time when the room goes quiet. It draws the line when old stories replay. It doesn't rage. It doesn't beg. It stands up, signs its name, and carries on.